now that we have looked at what are the factors which you should not give too much importance to at this stage of your B school application, let us look at factors which you should bear in mind, the important factors which you should bear in mind while applying to B schools. Now, the first factor is basically your professional life cycle that you are in right now. When I mean professional life cycle, it means what stage of graduation and your work cycle that you are in. So broadly, I have divided into 4 categories. The first one is basically people who are in the final year of their graduation. Now, if you are in the final year of the graduation, you have the best of both the worlds, right? You actually have you don't have the pressure to actually go ahead and clear CAT in this particular year. It is good if you actually get into a pretty decent B school, but age is on your side and you can attempt CAT again. You have even greater choice if you basically have a placement from your college, right? If you have a placement from your college, basically all pressure is off you, right? You can basically write CAT without any pressure, which basically might result in a greater score than what you would normally get, right? You don't have to worry about, what happens if I don't get through CAT, whether I have to find a job, etc. or not. So you are in the best position. So you can play it a little, conservatively. You don't have to apply to as many colleges as somebody who's not placed is going to be. Now, this brings us to the second category here, which is basically people who have graduated but have never worked. So people who graduated and have about like 6-7 months which they're trying to prepare for CAT and other MBA entrance examinations, and they are not actively looking for a job, are under a lot of stress, right? Because in another 6 to 7 months time, your parents are basically going to lose patience with you. Either you get a job or you get into a B school, right? So people in this category have to apply to a little more college, in fact quite a bit more colleges compared to people who are in the final year of graduation, because you don't have that particular leeway over there. Either you do that or you basically have a job in hand which you can join somewhere around March. Say you have an IT you're in an IT company and you have a job in hand, say somewhere around March and April of next year, then probably you can look at a little lesser college. But if you do not have a job or a firm offer of a job in hand and you're writing this particular examination in this stage, you basically better have at least 1 or 2 converts come March or April next year. Now, the next set of people are people who are working. Again, I have divided into 2 subcategories. One is people with up to 2.5 years of experience. Now, 2.5 years represents sort of like a sweet spot when it comes to doing MBA in India. Right? We have seen when we interviewed a couple of achievers over here that this is perhaps the best time at which you can get into a B school. So if you are at the 2.5 years sort of a mark, I would suggest apply to as many colleges as possible. So less than 2.5 years, you can again go down, you can wait, you can try probably again for one more time. The last part in this is people who are having more than 3 years of work experience. Now, it becomes a little difficult for you because you may not get the type of colleges which you're looking for. You cannot go very low in terms of the rung of colleges, because a lot of the colleges which are ranked 40 or lower basically have a huge amount of freshers or people with very little work experience. So companies do not come up, not a lot of companies will come up to get you placed. But if you are going to a top college, you should not be worried too much about your work experience. You will have to wait for some time, but you will eventually get placed. In fact, you'll get a pretty decent placement in more cases than not. Now, people with substantial work experience, when I mean substantial work experience, which is like 5 or more years, are more suited for the 1-year programs which are conducted by the IIMs, PGPX programs. Even XLRI has a GMP program which is for people with more than 5 years of work experience. So instead of trying to do a 2-year MBA program, which anyways gets very, very boring after 1.5 years, you basically can look at a 1-year program, do your MBA in double quick time, and actually get out and start earning as quickly as possible. Profile does matter. You can give as much outrage, you can throw as much tantrums as possible. You can probably curse all the colleges saying that, it is a grave injustice to me, but you're basically fooling yourself.